Context now, Dr. Scott Gottlieb is with us, CNBC contributor, former FDA commissioner on the boards of Pfizer and Illumina. Dr. Gottlieb, good to see you.
Thanks.
Any specific concerns, doctor, about the distribution of either or both of these vaccines?
No, look, I think the logistics in this country are very good. They're going to be able to get these vaccines from point A to point B. I think the challenge is going to be the last mile, trying to distribute these vaccines in the community. Right now, in the month of December, we're distributing these vaccines largely to healthcare workers through medical institutions. So the academic hospitals, community hospitals know how to distribute a vaccine, know how to find their healthcare workers. We're also distributing them in nursing homes. Another sort of circumscribed challenge, if you will. Walgreens and CVS are going into the nursing homes to distribute those vaccines. I think it gets harder in January when you try to go into the community and you're starting to vaccinate an elderly population and essential workers, where you need to go and find people who are eligible to be vaccinated and get them to go into certain sites. Now, my guess is that they're going to be using the retail pharmacies like CVS to distribute these vaccines in the community come January. But I think it's still going to be a bigger challenge, that last mile.
On this mutated vaccine, doctor, 40 countries are saying no to travel from the United Kingdom. The U.S. isn't one of them. Should it be?
I think this is already in the U.S. I don't think a travel ban at this point is going to prevent this mutated strain from coming into the United States. I mean, we're going to have an epidemic that continues to build over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks. We'll reach a peak, and then we'll start to see infection rates decline as we see vaccinations get rolled out. As you have fully 30% of the population probably infected at some point by the end of January, and as we get into the spring, as we start to get into February and March, and you get a seasonal backstop. So I don't think this mutated strain right now is going to create a second wave, if you will. The question is this virus going to change its surface proteins in a way that it can obviate either our vaccines or prior immunity? And there's no indication it's doing that right now, but over time it will evolve in ways that it can probably obviate prior infection or our vaccines to some degree. So we'll probably need to adapt our vaccines over time.
You've said here that the more infection, the more mutations. And if we're at 30% by the end of January, you said 30% infected, I guess the chances for mutations that could be problematic go way up, or no?
They do, and that's why we're seeing this mutation right now. This is probably a result of selective pressure on the virus itself. And so as the virus continues to spread around the world, we're going to start to see more of these variants. And that's why it's important to get the population vaccinated and try to snuff out the infection, because the more infection you have, the more opportunity you have for these variants to start to propagate.
Tens of millions of us are about to travel for the holidays. There's no doubting that now. What is that going to do to hospitals? We're already hearing these dire warnings out of California that they're at a breaking point and may actually break.
And some hospitals are going to reach their capacity, and we're going to see difficult scenes coming out of many healthcare institutions. Remember, we're probably going to peak in terms of the number of infections somewhere around the second week in January, but the burden on hospitals is going to continue for 2 or 3 weeks after that. So hospitals really are going to face maximal pressure towards the end of January. And then hopefully in February we start coming down that epidemic curve. But there's a long way to go on the healthcare system. So the fact that we're seeing the healthcare system so pressed right now, and we know we're probably at least a month away from when they're going to reach the point of maximal pressure, that's not a good sign.
Dr. Gottlieb, good of you. Thank you. Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.